Time to kick back, forget about your trouble, and have a good time. Wind River Resort and Casino is proud to welcome Uncle Krueger back to the Event Center stage Friday, August 14th. Drift away with his signature laid-back blend of country, pop, and rock, spiked with a splash of hip-hop. Tickets for this feel-good summertime show start at just $25 plus fees. Smile as you enjoy over 2 decades of multi-platinum top charters. Reserve tickets today at windriver.com. Your adventure begins here. Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. A couple more days until the Shred Fraud event. You've got Senior Medicare Patrol, High Cap, and PSA2 all teaming together to Shred Fraud. It's the Shred Fraud event, and it's a free drive-through event. It is this Saturday, July 18th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's at 1647 Hartnell Avenue, kind of that castle building. And if you have any open documents, Medicare statements, the works, you can bring them. A banker-sized box, and they will shred them for free. Medicare statements, sensitive documents, old bills, the works. So put that in your calendar, get there on Saturday, and take advantage of that free event. Temperatures, man, it is mild. I mean, we're close to 80 in Redding right now. It's 77 degrees, 75 degrees for Red Bluff, 73 degrees in Chico. Very mild start. Obviously cooler in the mountains, but mostly in the 50s, even some low to mid 50s for the coast. And there you got Redding Divine Sky Cam. Beautiful shot there. Looking at the sunrise and just one little lonely cloud there up in the left-hand or upper right-hand corner of your screen. I'll say good morning to Lisa Strickland this morning. How are you doing? Good morning to you. Thank you so much for chiming in this morning. Let's take a look at Lake Shastina Golf Resort, sponsored by Elwood Ranch, and one lonely cloud there. Kind of hanging on top of the mountain right there on the summit. But otherwise, you got those clear skies out there out in Siskiyou County. Let's take you out to Lake Shasta. This is the Jones Valley Resort. Sun is coming on up and not a cloud to be seen. A little bit of a breeze this morning out on the lake. And look at the visibility. Actually looking pretty good, but we still have some of the, what we call a stratus deck, the marine layer that is in place. And there you can see, though, some of the breaks in the clouds are already seeing out in Crescent City. So, yes, we're starting off with mostly cloudy skies this morning, but that should clear out again, as we've seen here the last few days. All right, so here's a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Wednesday, July 15th. If you have anything out in your yard that can collect water, it's a good idea to make sure it doesn't have water, because that can be a breeding ground for mosquitoes, such as tires, miscellaneous items, junk toys, tire swings, basketball hoops, lily pots, and water gardens. Any comments, questions, concerns about mosquitoes in your area, you can always call the Shasta Mosquito and Vector Control. Out the door this morning, some of the low clouds, a little bit of fog along the coast, but we're already, as you saw out in Crescent City at least, seeing some of the clearing skies there. Clear skies this morning for the rest of Northern California. And you can see that disturbance off to the north and west of us. That's going to continue to move through the Pacific Northwest. But otherwise, the monsoonal moisture is beginning to scoot on out of here, and that's going to give us drier conditions. However, there still may be just enough leftover monsoonal moisture that we'll see, number one, the afternoon clouds developing. No doubt about that. Siskiyou, Modoc, Lassen, right? It's typical areas. But there may be a stray shower coming out of some of those clouds as well, but nothing significant, bottom line. And then drying out again here and clearing out for tonight. So for today, today's the peak of the warming trend. I'm expecting temperatures between 100 and 105. Some of the warmer spots at the north end of the valley, 106 or so. 90s for most of the higher elevations, and probably somewhere in the low to mid 60s for the coast. Not quite as mild. I think a little bit cooler here for tonight in the valley. Upper 60s, maybe some low 70s in there. And mostly in the 50s for the mountains and for the coast. Looking at your 7-day forecast, no big changes. We're going to see a nice little dip in the temperatures on Monday. In fact, down to 91 in Chico, 93 for Red Bluff on Monday, and 95 for Redding, but generally in the upper 90s. For the coast, low 60s, inland, mid to upper 90s, and for Trinity County, mid to upper 90s. For Siskiyou County, 80s, maybe some 90s in there as well. I do have a slight chance for a shower, sprinkle for places like Modoc County, but otherwise dry. And that's been the case for the eastern mountains as well. Now, the fire weather outlook. Let's talk about, first of all, the fires that are out there and see what's going on. There you can kind of see a broad perspective of the active fires. The one up in Hoopa, that is no longer active, 100% control, contained, the works. But we look at the 3-1 pit fire at just a little over 1,000 acres, 95% containment right there. We also have the Loomis fire just east of that and to the south of that, kind of combined, the one that's near Little Valley. That is 656 acres at 35% containment. Again, we're not really seeing a lot of activity coming in from these fires, which is great news. The Twain fire at 276 acres, 177 personnel. By the way, for some reason, the fire perimeter on the map there is not updating on my weather maps, but see that little U-shaped area? That should all be filled in because that area has burned. And as of right now, latest update as of this morning, 15,526 acres at 42% containment. So again, we're seeing more and more containment pretty much each and every single day. We're not seeing a ton of activity coming out of these fires, so that's great to see. Now, as far as smoke is concerned, from our local fires, we're not going to see a bunch of smoke. However, we do have the East Evans Creek fire near the Medford area, and that is producing a lot of smoke. It has been very active over the last several days. And you can see by tonight, some of that smoke, a lot of that smoke actually looks to be making its way into central and eastern Siskiyou County and possibly even working its way into northern Shasta County. Fingers crossed it doesn't work its way all the way down into the north end of the valley around Redding, but we may see some of that smoke and haze off in the distance by tomorrow morning. All right, let's take a look at the winds. So we've been talking about the fire weather risk due to potential for dry lightning. We saw plenty of lightning strikes yesterday and the day before. Not concerned about lightning strikes today, so we're looking at the main general patterns, and that is the winds, the humidity, and the temperatures. So the winds, nothing terribly unusual, a little gusty at times over the next several days, but nothing to be terribly concerned about. As you can see, as we go into Saturday, actually the winds are calming down really across the board. But fire weather risk, the color coding there, right? That's the fire weather risk. The numbers is the humidity. So you can see, yeah, I mean, normal, typical, right? We typically see in the valley, into the mountains, north and east of the valley, in the moderate to high range. Nothing unusual. You can see just how dry it's going to be in the single digits and low teens, especially in the valley. Taking you into your Friday, look at that, way down into the single digits. And as we go into Saturday as well, quite dry. Still looking at the moderate to high fire weather risk. Again, nothing terribly unusual. Moving target, these fires, 100%. The thing is they're changing constantly, right? Whether it's the acreage of the fires, the percentage of containment, we're always getting new updates. And so even though I just gave you the latest update on the fires, by the time you may be watching this, if it's recorded, because it's live now, so it's all current, but if you're watching this after it's been recorded, things may have changed. And what I've done for you is you got a one-stop shop for fire data. Go to weathernorcal.com, click on fire danger, and it has everything you need from all the different resources that you can pull from right there from weathernorcal.com. Check it out. All right, let's take a look at some of the cameras out there this morning. And once again, we take a look at our Divine Sky Cam out in Redding. Again, one lonely cloud out there. Mainly clear skies, though. Taking a look at Jones Valley Resort out at Shasta Lake, sponsored by Elwood Ranch. Beautiful sunrise there, not a cloud to be seen, even off in the distance. As we take a look at Lake Shasta Golf Resort, also sponsored by Elwood Ranch. One lonely little cloud there on the summit. And if someone reached the summit, unfortunately, they're not getting much of a view because it's cloudy on top of the summit. So hopefully it clears out for them if they're out on the summit. Beautiful view. Been up there twice, actually. Soda Ridge, yeah, you can't really see that cloud there. That's kind of on the other side of that mountain there. Taking a look at Lassen Volcanic National Park. Looks like you've got the sunny skies there this morning. And taking a look at Lake Oroville. Nice little view of the lake. Got plenty of sunshine out there this morning. Taking you out to Main Street Chico on Highway 32. Not much going on with the traffic. Can't really see much of the sky there, but as we look at Neal Road on Highway 99, you can see that there are clear skies there. This is a look at Crescent City this morning, and we're already beginning to see breaks in the clouds, which means we'll probably see more sunshine up into areas along the coast here later this morning and afternoon. Bald Hill West, a couple of clouds lingering in the area as we look down at Hoop Valley here, but turning out to be a gorgeous start to the morning there as well. Here is a look at Fort Jones and in particular Scott Valley, and a few lonely clouds off in the distance there as well, but otherwise you are looking at mainly sunny skies. All right, before we get to our sponsor, we need to get into a Grange Co-op, gardening with Grange Co-op. Got a new one here, and it's maintenance of your garden during the summer season. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Krueger from Weather NorCal. You're watching Grange Co-op, Gardening with Grange Co-op, and with me right now I have got Kathy from Grange Co-op.
Hello.
And it's that time of the year where it's like, all right, what do you do in the garden, right? So what are some of the things you suggest during the peak summer heat?
A lot of your flowers, some of your plants are starting to die off, and you don't want to give up on them and think they're not going to grow back. So in order to keep the flowers continuing to bloom and the plants not dying off, it's the best time to go in, like on some of your pots, just go in and kind of cut off some of this dead stuff. It will regrow, so don't worry about it. Just cut all of that off. The dead head on the flowers, you want to cut these off. Just go all the way down to the bottom of the stem. Cut it right about there. Don't cut it right at the tips, because then you'll have a bunch of long stems. Your butterfly bushes, you're going to want to cut the tips, the flowers that have already bloomed and spent, but you'll see that there's still some coming out. So don't cut it down low, because you're going to cut some new blooms. So just pay attention and individually cut every one of them. You might see some plants that have been a little bit burned by the sun. So on this, you'll just want to go down to where the burn is gone and then just clip right above there. It will grow back, and this way the plant's not spending a lot of energy on leaves that are burnt. And then once you're done with that, it would probably be a good idea to fertilize. We have a variety of fertilizers. I suggest an all-purpose. If you want to come in and talk to somebody about what type of fertilizer, we'd be happy to help. But this is a great time of the year to kind of prune up your flowers a little bit, your plants, and get a second bloom from them.
Well, what about watering? I mean, do you do more water? Is that what the fertilizer is all about?
Depending on what type of fertilizer you use, if it's a granular kind, you typically don't get it on the leaves, but in the dirt, you would want to put that on there and then water so it soaks in. You also can use some that you mix with water. It's a more water soluble one. You do want to make sure that they get plenty of water at this time of the year. We have to water here. We have to water at least twice a day, especially on the smaller plants. They dry out very quickly. And then this is what you get.
There you go, right? Well, thank you so much for that great advice. Again, it's that time of the year. It's like, well, what now? But it seems like there still is some maintenance that you need to take care of. Everything, plant parts of the plant that are dying, the dead leaves, the works. So yeah, thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome.
We'll see you next time for another edition of Gardening with Grange Co-op.
Bye.
Once again, I want to thank Kathy from Grange Co-op. She's got a lot of great advice and great tips here, and we'll be getting more in the months to come. So excited to have this partnership with Grange Co-op as we get some great advice about gardening. For those of you that are gardening enthusiasts, you'll be able to get some great advice from the folks over at Grange Co-op. Well, as you know, we also have a sponsor here for Coffee with Krueger. Our primary sponsor of this show is Wind River Resort and Casino. They have been the primary sponsor since the very beginning, and now a word from Wind River Resort and Casino.
It's time to saddle up and ride west. Wind River Resort and Casino is proud to bring Wyoming's own Ian Munsick to the Event Center stage. Friday, July 24th. Rising fast and bringing his signature sound. Ian brings the West to the rest. Tickets are just $60 plus fees. But they won't last long, so don't wait. Make it a country night to remember. Call 1-800-280-YOU-WIN to reserve your room and grab your tickets. Dust off those boots. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino.
All right, so here we go. It is the deeper dive forecast. We're going to go into all of what's going into the forecast. We're going to look at the long range. This monsoonal moisture, this has been something that I've been watching, and it's moving out as we speak. And right now we're expecting drier conditions here. there's going to be just a little bit of leftover moisture today, especially after the north and east, parts of Siskiyou, Modoc, and Lassen counties, and maybe even Plumas County. That's going to bring some clouds in the afternoon, maybe a stray shower, off chance for a thunderstorm, but most likely not. Temperatures will peak today. We're talking 100 to 105, even 106 in some spots here for the valley, but it will be leveling off after that as we go through the rest of the week and through the weekend and even through next week. Now, drier air, as I mentioned, is moving in. There's going to be elevated fire weather risk as the winds pick up a little bit here. It's going to be drier. It's going to be hotter. So the combination of all of that's going to elevate that fire weather risk, but nothing unusual. But it's one of those things where, yes, it's time to start thinking about really making sure we do what we can to prevent new fires from starting. Now, I've got a question mark here because, let's read the sentence. Return of monsoonal moisture this weekend. That's usually what you do. You put the over the weekend. But that's the big question. Will it return? Because here's the thing. As I made my morning coffee after waking up this morning, I'm thinking in my back of my mind, oh, I'll be taking a look at the models. I'll probably be talking about the monsoonal moisture working in this weekend and next week. Sure enough, I come in, I look at the latest forecast models, and they're backing off on the monsoonal moisture moving in. GFS, the American forecast model, the European forecast model, say no, it's going to stay off over where it typically is. Nevada, Four Corners region, and at this point, it doesn't look like it's moving into our region. That could change though, because they've been very consistent over the last several days with it moving in, but now suddenly they're saying, no, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, so let's get you into it. Let's start with our temperatures. Very mild this morning. You're going to step out the door this morning, especially north end of the valley. You're in the mid to upper 70s at the current hour. 73 degrees for Chico, 73 in Orville. 50s for the higher elevations and low 50s for the coast. Now, we do have high pressure off over the Four Corners region, typical. We have the monsoonal moisture there as well. What's happening is that high pressure is beginning to kind of scoot off to the east a little bit here, and it's partially, thankfully, to this area of low pressure here. As it moves off, it's going to kind of push that area of high pressure to the east. As a result, we're losing that direct flow coming in from the desert southwest, and we're not seeing the monsoon moisture moving in anymore, at least for now. Now, there's that area of low pressure, kind of scoots up to the north into Canada. Here's the area of high pressure. So what you'll notice, I'm going to advance the map here. I want you to notice right here. This is the monsoonal moisture, and here's how it works during the monsoon season in the desert southwest. They've got basically the subtropical air that comes into place. It's the monsoonal moisture as it's known. So the moisture source is there. It's also very hot in the desert southwest. So what happens is you get heating during the day. That heat rises from the surface up into the cooler levels of the atmosphere. We see condensation. Clouds begin to develop and eventually thunderstorms. Because again, you've got that moisture source with that monsoonal moisture, right? It pulsates. You're going to see this pulsation, right? It's getting pulsating. That things will pulsate. I can't think of the word there, right? But we're going to see it. The thunderstorms pop up, and in the overnight hours, no more thunderstorms. They pop back up the next day. So watch what happens. Gone, they come back, gone, they come back. Why? Because again, we see those afternoon showers and thunderstorms pop up, and then they die down in the overnight hours. Why? Because we're losing the source of the heat of the sun, so temperatures start to drop, and as a result, the thunderstorms move on out. So, same concept with us, right? If we can get that monsoonal moisture over us, then it's hot here, we know that, and that heat causes us to see those thunderstorms. And in particular, in the higher elevations, and that's why you see the threat for dry lightning. We've seen that the last few days. Now, what I've been talking about over the last few days too is that by this weekend and through a good portion of next week, this area of high pressure will transport more monsoonal moisture over our region. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing some clouds, but at this point, see that? We're seeing the pulsating off to our east, but we're not seeing it over us. So now it looks like the monsoonal moisture is having a hard time getting back here. As a result, we stay hot, we stay dry. So let's take a look at this. This is the moisture content. And again, I was looking at these yesterday. I made a post yesterday on Facebook saying, hey, by the weekend next week, we're going to be looking at more monsoonal moisture working in. But take a look at this. Here's the moisture. So yellows, when we start getting into the yellows, oranges, and reds, that's when you start getting in more of that moist air, right? And we're seeing that still lingering in the valley. But this is some drier air that's already started to move in. But you can clearly see all these yellows, oranges, reds, even those purples getting in there with some deep moisture in there. Also some moisture down to our south. So let's take into Thursday, Friday, look how dry it is. See the browns? That's the dry air. By the way, also, you're seeing a lot of activity coming in from the south. Tropical disturbances. They could eventually become tropical storms or hurricanes down over the Pacific. And earlier this week, we did actually see there was a remnants from a hurricane, and we saw some of that coming up our way, and that helped along with that monsoonal moisture. But through the weekend, through Wednesday of next week, look at that. Dry air. The monsoonal moisture is being blocked. We're not seeing it moving in based off of this forecast model. And if we were to look at the GFS, same story. It wouldn't be showing any of that monsoonal moisture moving in. So interesting to see. Now, another thing I want to show you is Futurecast, because this, if you watch my morning recording, some newer data has come in. And it's backing off on Saturday's potential for showers and thunderstorms. Let me show you here. So as we go through the afternoon, we'll see those clouds probably come back in along the coast. We'll call it partly to mostly cloudy. Afternoon clouds developing to the north and east. You're going to see that. You're going to look off in the distance, especially to the north and east. You're going to see the puffy cumulus clouds. We call them cumulus congestus clouds. Now, some of them could produce a stray shower here and there. Nothing to get excited about. And an off chance for a stray lightning strike, but most likely not. We'll watch it, but most likely not. Let's take you into Thursday. There's the marine layer along the coast having a hard time burning things off through the afternoon on Thursday. Look at that. Not even the clouds developing in the mountains. Plenty of sunshine. Taking into Friday, same story. Maybe some clouds coming in from the south. This is the first signs of some of the monsoon moisture trying to work its way back in. Now, look at this. You see the clouds are moving in. We're seeing this sharp cutoff of where the clouds are and where they aren't. This is monsoonal moisture, at least what the forecast model is showing here. And you did see a couple of pop-up showers coming on in. It's backing up off, though, on that, right? Because we're just not seeing it as prominent as far as the rain is concerned. So now even our in-house forecast model is kind of getting more in alignment with the GFS and with the European forecast model saying, hey, we probably won't see as much as initially thought. That being said, all we have to do is get a couple more forecast model runs in there the next 24, 48 hours. It may change. It may say, all right, we are going to see it. And maybe it comes farther to the west, maybe Trinity County, Siskiyou County, seeing that potential as well. So not all bets are off that the monsoonal moisture is not going to make its way here. But as of right now, I will be backing off on that potential. And I don't have any more rain in the forecast with the exception of that potential for today off to the north and east. All right, switching gears, temperature-wise, yes, today's the peak of the heat wave. We're going to get up to 100 to 105 in the valley. Some spots getting even a little bit warmer than that, especially for the north end of the valley. Leveling off around 100 degrees through the weekend. Look at that, a nice little dip in the temperatures. Actually, you can see a weak disturbance push through. It's not going to bring us any rain, but what it will do is drop our temperatures down. That'll be nice, although 95 is still hot, right? But then we're back in the upper 90s, about 100 degrees here for Tuesday through all of next week. This is nothing unusual. This blue line, that's the normal high that we see this time of the year, 100 degrees. Oh yeah, it's normal, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the lake levels. And still 100% for Shasta Lake. Still over 100% for Trinity and Lake Oroville. But Lake Oroville, and look at that, over a foot drop in the last 24 hours. About a half a foot drop for Shasta Lake. And as for Trinity Lake, about a quarter of a foot drop. Wave heights, not much changing much here. They may increase a little bit here for tomorrow afternoon, but nothing to be concerned about. If you're on a small boat or even a large boat, just note that there will be some of that patchy, dense fog this morning, but we're already starting to see clearing out along the coast here this morning. Neighborhood forecast sponsored by Dignity Health and Grange Co-op. So for Trinity County, I've got you dry. We're going to be looking at temperatures kind of going up and down a bit, but really when we average out the next 7 days for Trinity County, mid-90s. For the North Coast, low 60s. That's your average for the next 7 days. Partly to mostly cloudy skies. Some days more clearing than others. Today we'll probably see more clearing again. Take you off to the inland areas. Nice little dip on Thursday, 83 degrees, but back in the 90s after that. Close to 100 degrees by Sunday. Siskiyou County, got you dry. Temperatures in the 80s and 90s for your daytime highs for the next 7 days. Modoc County, I've got you a slight chance today. Don't count on much though. Just see some of the afternoon clouds. Temperatures leveling out, averaging out in the low 90s. Eastern Mountains, most likely dry. If we see any showers today, it would be in northern parts of Lassen County. But generally in the 90s for your daytime highs as well. Now for the valley, it's hot, right? We're at least 100 degrees or higher. for everyone in the valley here for today and maybe even tomorrow. But you can see temperatures for Chico will kind of level off in the mid-90s for Friday through the weekend. Let's take you up to the north. Could some of us touch 106 degrees, 107? Not out of the question. We're talking 104 to 105, though, for the most part. 100 in Whiskeytown, 97 out in Lakehead. And looking at your 7-day forecast for Redding, about 100 degrees here by Thursday, and leveling out in the upper 90s to about 100 degrees through the weekend. Nice little dip in the temperatures as we go to Monday, but back into the upper 90s by Tuesday of next week. It's hot. It's normal. This is that time of the year. We're in July. We're going to be probably talking the same song and dance here in August before we start seeing some more changes going into September, October, November. Cooler, wetter, right? But not necessarily right now. So there you go. What's today? Today is Wednesday. It's hump day. A couple of things. Let's take a look at some fun here. We have got National Hot Dog Day. If you're a big fan of hot dogs, well, then maybe you can eat a couple to get that going here. A couple of people also check. Oh, I do that a lot, don't I? There it is, National Hot Dog Day. We got Jackie this morning. How are you doing this morning? She's saying good morning from Trinidad, and she's also thanking all of the firefighters for getting all those fires under control. They've been doing a great job, absolutely. And we got Jeff Johnson saying good morning. And we've also got Marcia saying good morning, Mike. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for, and that's what everybody else is here for. You can help each other out by giving us your weather reports for your area. National Gummy Worm Day. All right, there you go. National Give Something Away Day. So you got something that you don't need and want to give it away. Today's the day to do it, I guess. National I Love Horses Day. Who doesn't love horses? I mean, who can't appreciate a cool horse, right? Social Media Giving Day. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about. I know that there are probably influencers that appreciate donations and people giving them money, but we got sponsors here, Weather NorCal, so we don't have to worry about that. National Pet Fire Safety Day. Kind of interesting. I actually clicked on this a little bit earlier. I didn't realize this, but there are how many? There are eight things that you can look out for to prevent your, like, for example, remove knobs from the stove. Apparently, a dog can jump on the stove and then turn on the stove, and then it can start a fire. Consider flameless candles. Well, that's a obvious one. This is really interesting to me too. Replace glass water bowls with metal or plastic outside on wooden decks. They can heat up and actually start a fire. How crazy is that? I guess it acts like a maybe magnifying glass, and it can kind of create that one little spot where it just heats things up. Crazy. Store leashes and collars near entrance of your home. When away, have your pets in the main living area for easy rescue. I think that's kind of getting out. Secure young pets away from home. This can avoid fire hazards, pet kennels, or in pet-proofed options. Fire alert window clings and firefighters identify the room your pets are located in. Okay, and then have a plan when you're home. Know which family members will be responsible for each pet. Kind of interesting. I thought that was interesting, with the pet fire safety. I didn't know about that, but the stove and glass water bowl. I don't have one, a glass water bowl, but kind of interesting. So there you go. What do you got going on today, folks? I don't have a whole lot going on. I'm getting ready for a fun little trip, and I will be in Mexico this upcoming weekend and then next week. But I will still be able to work. You've known me to do, if you've been watching me, you know I can do that. And it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So let's get ready for some fun, shall we? All right, let's leave you with a couple of cameras in the area. Leave you with some music. As we wrap up the show, there's that lonely cloud getting a little bit bigger, actually, from the Redding Divine Skycam. I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful Wednesday, and we will see you tomorrow.